Well, welcome, guys, to another episode of Leadership and Character Development. I got Rick and Dante all moved in down in Florida. Rick, we haven't caught up for a while. Looking forward to catching up and talk about what happened this weekend at the Nationals. And how are you been?
I've been doing good, man. Like you said, just relocated down to Florida. Happy to talk a little bit about that later. But I have intentionally held off from talking with you and I actually held off from watching the Nationals, the senior Nationals this week because I wanted to be able to get the intel straight from you in sort of an organic, authentic conversation and just ask you how it went, tell me the news because I'm like a lot of people out there. As much as I'm a Greco fan, right? Like, not a lot of people maybe watch the show or know what happened, and I want to be filled in the way that they ought to be filled in.
Okay, well, I think you were aware a lot of our top athletes didn't make it to the senior nationals due to the COVID epidemic and what we're dealing with, and some of our athletes are just barely getting back on the mat to train. So we didn't have our a couple of our big powerhouse programs, the Marines and the WCAP program for the Army. Didn't send athletes, but what was really exciting was a lot of the young talent showed up. A lot of these college athletes that normally would be focusing on their NCAA season right now really took advantage of the opportunity to go out to Iowa and get a chance to compete. And so you have some guys that were saying, "Oh, these weren't the real nationals because the big dogs weren't there and stuff." But I think that's kind of petty to be talking like that for some of these guys, especially when they are the top guys. They should be humbled a little bit more about that. I just read some interesting tweets, and I think tweeting is getting a lot of guys in trouble lately, and should probably stay away from that.
Yeah, I don't know. None of them are running for president, right?
No, no, none of
So,
them.
you know, uh, yeah, I don't know. I mean, unless they're trying to set up some side match or something where they're taking tips from Chael on how to build an audience for the fight. I don't know. Maybe not the best.
Yeah, so I certainly I'm watching what's happening culturally and with this cancel stuff going on and making sure that really the only thing that I share on there is what's happening in the wrestling world and positive news and things that are going on. It's really not a place to have your opinions spread to the world because down the road somewhere, I think somebody could pick those up and use them against you in some capacity. And we're constantly seeing that these days. So, but yeah, I mean, the national tournament was still the national tournament. And, you know, I talking to, so, some of our elite guys went there. We saw Joe Rao lost Alan Vera there. Alan Vera is a new athlete that's, hoping to get his passport here before the Olympic trials and pretty quality athlete, quality young man for sure. And
I mean, those are the two most elite guys in the country that way, right?
at that weight class, yeah, at that weight class for
Huh.
sure. I mean, you have Patrick Martinez, Provisor's going down to 77. He didn't show up. Pat Smith is our number one athlete. Got beat in the finals um, by Kendrick Sanders. Pretty great, talented guy. Um, but so two of our senior world team members lost in the national opens this week. So I would say it was still a pretty darn good event. Quality athletes there, and to see some of these younger guys come out, like we had Alex Thompson out of Nebraska showed up and went through that weight class and beat Moshe Shorts, who's up at Northern Colorado. So again, two of our college athletes that typically would be wrestling in the college season right now.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me. I mean, we got to get Andy Bisick on the show at some point, anyways, too, because we got to get a lot more feature of what's happening there at NMU, because this. I mean, it's always been fantastic, but I think it certainly seems like he's injected a whole new level of energy there, and there's going to be some news being made out of there over the next couple of years when it comes to the Olympics and Worlds as these guys develop.
Well, so Kendrick is one of Andy's athletes up there in Northern, and also Benji Peak, who was the 67 kilo champion, teched everybody throughout the tournament. I mean, that's incredible. Okay, I mean, Ellis wasn't there, Sancho wasn't there. Some of our Xavier Johnson from the Marines wasn't there. Like I said, those are some of our elite programs, but we still have a lot of talented guys that are right on their heels, and I
Didn't he
think
beat
that's
Germanaro in the finals?
he did. Yeah,
And was that Germanaro's first finals?
no, Germanaro won the nationals in December
Yeah. So I mean, that's that's
when
legit,
everybody
man.
was there. Yes, when
Yeah,
everybody was there.
like that's awesome. So I mean, when you're talking this stuff, I'm listening and I'm thinking, there's two like poems that come to mind that are really famous. Everybody knows them, especially one, right? The Man in the Arena. That it's ubiquitous. Everybody knows it. If you don't know it, just Google it. Don't even listen to me. Go home and figure that out. I can't. You need to go read that on your own. But that poem, The Man in the Arena, it says, marred with mud and dust on your face and blood and scars. That's the person that matters. When you're gonna listen to these people on Twitter. I don't care if you were the man in the arena last year, but if you weren't this year, and you're on Twitter BSing about it, man, like these guys, I dare anybody to go in there and wrestle at senior nationals against anybody, especially in Greco, and try not to have your necks ripped off in two. Like this is not the tournament for trifling stuff. I mean, this is if you're it's good, man.
Yep. No, it's incredible. I mean, Taylor Lamont was there at 60 kilo, came back, lost a first round match, came back and took the bronze. Didn't bail out of the tournament and think, oh, the top guys aren't here, so I'm not going to compete. Still came back and took a bronze medal at the tournament, but lost in the first round. So I mean, we're seeing some of this young talent really starting to emerge out of here. Uh, yeah, you really got some bad lighting all of a sudden.
No,
This
yeah,
thing
I just
changed.
closed the blind. Sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, like it's just I wouldn't say. I mean, certainly there were some very talented people who might not have been there,
Absolutely.
but that doesn't mean that there wasn't talent. That these everybody there is talented. I was a D3 nobody walk on. Like there is like we couldn't hold the sandals of the people that like that. If you were there, you are talented. These guys are good. I don't think people get like these are everybody there is good, and if somebody doesn't want to make it, guess what? This is their chance for these young guys to go out and make a name and tech your way through a tournament or to be the next guy. This is how it happens. This is history. I mean, read literature, read history. This is how it happens. People don't want to show up. Other people are going to fill in, man, and they're going to carve their own pathway. And it's just
Well,
the way.
I do feel for the athletes that their programs have restricted their training opportunities, and that
Yeah,
COVID has affected them, and they didn't get the opportunity to go out there and compete. It's unfortunate, but they should be cheering on that next generation, even as they're trying to beat that next generation that's coming up. It's great for our program. It's a positive thing for the program to have this young talent step up, take that opportunity, and go out there and really perform at the highest level that they're capable of, and really grow that confidence. And now they're going to be challenging these guys like Ellis Coleman and Alex Sancho, who are a couple of our top dogs in our program. I'm looking forward to seeing, how these young athletes will fare against them, and maybe they'll get beaten the next time they get an opportunity, but at least these guys are on the right path. They're moving in the right direction, and they're taking those opportunities, and they're not playing the victim game of saying, well, I didn't get a chance to train. They took the training that they had, and they went out there and competed to the best of their abilities. So it
yeah,
was
man. I tip my hat up to those guys who competed, and like you said, the guys who couldn't, like, it's no knock on them either. I mean, most of those, if they weren't there, most of them it wasn't by choice. Like you're in the army or you got those, you got to do what the instructions say. I mean, that's life. And I guess we've talked about this for a year or two now on the show. Is that, like, that's why you go out and come up and bite you in the butt and have the Army be like, yeah, guess what? We're not going to let you go to nationals this year. Like, it's crazy. Nobody would have predicted that last year, but this is why last year mattered and the year before that, because I feel for those guys. That's, but as a fan, to see these young guys come in and make a name for themselves and draw attention, to me, that gets me excited to see what's going to happen when they face off against Ellis Coleman. You got the young line versus the old line. Like, that's exciting. And to see I think this is something that it seems like the program has really needed over the last 10 or 15 years, which has been an opportunity for a cohort of a younger ages to step in when the old guard isn't sort of like holding the line, and to see what we got in the stable.
Well, I mean, I could look at this same situation and go, yeah, look at a lot of my best athletes end up in these college programs, and they don't get the opportunity to compete. Fortunately, this year, the way things worked out was they were chomping at the bit to get some matches, and they showed up and they wrestled well. And regardless of who was at the tournament, if some of our top guys, and every weight class, some of our top guys were not there, but we're starting to see this young talent emerge, like Colton Schultz, winning his second national title. He's 20 years old, that which is incredible. And we're, I'm talking to coaches and they're always, they kind of look past it like, well, of course Colton won that. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. He won a second national title back to back. Let's celebrate that. Then let's talk about what's next. Let's
How
celebrate
old is
that.
he?
20 years old.
How old is it? So 20 years old. So this is senior nationals, right? I
Yes.
mean, let's count in our hands how many guys, just like some big names that we would think of in USA Wrestling in general, at 20 years old as college wrestlers had won not just one but two senior nationals, like Jordan Burroughs,
Nope.
Al Dake,
Nope.
David Taylor. Like, I mean, we can go on and on. Like, that's a big deal. Colton Schultz is pulling it off. I mean, guys can't scoff at that.
No,
Like,
absolutely not. So, it's just Colton's had such success though that we're expecting him to win. And, his coaches at Arizona and his club coaches at Sunkist, and it's like, okay, well, what's the next training plan? It's like, right now, let's celebrate what he did. Like, that was a really big deal. And I mean, it's not winning the worlds, which he has won a world title at the cadet level, and unfortunately this year he was not able to compete at the junior worlds because he took a bronze, took a silver, and this was his last year as a 20-year-old athlete to be able to participate at that junior worlds. And we saw yesterday that officially the junior worlds were canceled. They're claiming that there's going to be a senior worlds to happen in December. And I'm an optimistic guy, but everything I'm hearing is it's going to be pretty tough to get our team over to Serbia. And maybe next week we'll get a few more answers and some more clarity on what's going on there. But it's an opportunity for us to, hopefully, go over and get some more matches in a world championships, and we'll see. It's this COVID thing is really, everything's kind of play it by ear now.
yeah, it's been such just a curveball for the whole program and the country, right? I mean, everything.
For everybody.
Lots of people have been, disrupted, and certainly the athletic side. You have the Olympics, wrenched over, and um, it's just one of those things. I mean, but I feel like it's what maybe it gives context, maybe to the younger crowd, of what we've been talking about here for a couple of years. I don't even know how long we've been doing this show, a year or two. I don't
Yeah, a
remember.
couple years now.
But like, when we're not kind of just two old dudes BSing here or cliches about seizing the day and this is your year. This is your window. There is not a next year. Sure, you're always planning and development for and all that, but when we've been telling guys, our stories, the stories of our guests over the years, like you got to step in and weigh in on the scale and step on the mat and compete because you don't know what kind of craziness the next year is going to bring. You never know, injuries, whatever. Like this stuff happens, and I feel for this cohort of athletes. But like at the same time, I don't know that there's been a generation of athletes that haven't been riddled with unexpected injuries, or the 1980 Olympic team guys. We had Lee Kemp on. Like this is not to be too tough on this cohort, but this is not the first group of people who've had to handle this incredible kind of diversity or adversity.
Absolutely.
What we talk about, like this is your year. The young guys, pick up that rusty sword and go win the battle with it, with the sword that somebody threw away because it was too rusty. Like go make that your championship, and you don't know what's going to open up. Like that's what happened to Tom Brady, Drew Brees, or not Brees, but Bledsoe before him. These guys are backups. Guy in front of you gets hurt, they become legends.
Oh, absolutely. Take advantage of those opportunities. And, so for me, it was very encouraging to see a lot of our top guys, not there, but see this new crop of talent that maybe we wouldn't even have recognized till after the quad and guys start to retire and move on. But we're already seeing these guys emerge, and they're going to be challenging these top athletes that are, they're going to have to step up their game, and hopefully they're watching and going, I got to do more. I got to do more, not just to win a world medal, an Olympic medal, but to just to get on this team. It's going to take more effort, more of me getting better at my craft to just to make a team now.
I mean,
And
there's guys on
that's
your
what we needed. That we've talked about this so much. Well, what's going to fix the Greco problem is bringing more depth into our program, bringing more talented athletes into this program.
I mean, if you're the king of the mountain in America, your weight class, I mean, you better start swimming because there's a shark coming after you. And like everybody should be hungry and ready to go. And if you're the best, there's guys coming. They're coming, man. And it's exciting to see. And I want to see those top guys succeed. I want to see I mean, all of us, you, me, we're Americans. I mean, you don't coach locally in America because you're coach of all of them. Like we want to see all these guys succeed. Like there's nobody in the program that I'm not a fan of. Like I like all these dudes.
Yeah, they're great men, and I'm just happy for the guys that did have that opportunity to compete this weekend, and the guys that had that opportunity, especially the guys that really stepped up and performed up to their abilities, was exciting to watch. So, for me, I didn't go out to Iowa. I just sat home and watched it all on my computer and had multiple windows open at the same time. And if I missed a match, I could just go back and rewatch it. And so, for me, it was an outstanding opportunity to just get to watch.
Did you ever find yourself yelling at the screen or telling somebody like, "Oh, do this, do that"?
Oh yeah, like when Colton got stepped over on his gut wrench in the finals, and I called him up and talked to him, about that, well, I called him up and congratulated him on his second back-to-back national title, and he's like, yeah, did you see that when I got stepped over? And I just started laughing. I was like, yes, I was so happy that you got stepped over because that's a skill that we've been working on as a program. And Wes has been to a lot of our national team camps and picked up that skill. And two, your gut wrench needs to get better because if you're letting the number two guy in the nation step over you, wait till you step out on the mat with the Russian or the Azerbaijani or the Iranian. We got to clean that gut wrench up, and we got to make some adjustments. And Colton's going to go next week out to Illinois with the guy he wrestled in the final, and they're going to train together, and they're going to help each other get better. And especially in America, I mean, you don't have the luxury of saying, "Well, I'm not going to train with the number two, the number three guy in the country." We just don't have enough depth yet in our program to where you've got quality guys in every corner of the United States. So we have to get our heavyweights together and we have to get them training together, especially now when we can't travel overseas freely like we have in the past.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I read the 5 Point Move article on the Cuban, uh, Vera, right?
Yeah, Alan. Yeah.
Allen, yeah, and he was saying he doesn't have any training partners at all.
Yes and no. He finds them. He makes it happen. We had John Anderson, who was the only American that beat him at the Pan Am Games in 2016. That John Anderson helped us win the Pan American Games that year, and that's the first time the American team has won the games since 1975. And and John was a big part of that, and he was up in New York working at West Point Academy because he's still a part of the military. He's like some secret, badass force doing something, but he was up there training with them, and then Jake Fisher was up in New York or in Connecticut, and these guys were traveling, an hour and a half just to get a workout in, but that's what it takes. So you have to be willing to do whatever it takes. And yes, Allen doesn't have guys in his club where he trains day in, day out. He has to go find those guys, or those guys got to come into him. And he's got to travel to training camps. But every chance Allen's had to get an invite, he's there. He says, whatever I can do to help the American team prepare for the Worlds this year, call me. I want to help. And he's been a big part of our American system. And it's, I don't want to see Joe Rao lose that match. Uh, I don't want to see Allen lose that match, but that's what happens in sport. Somebody wins, somebody loses, and now we all have to get better. We have to raise our level, and if we keep doing that, we keep beating each other, and that guy gets a little better, and the other guy gets a little better. Pretty soon, nobody's going to be able to beat us in the world, and that's what we're looking to do.
So what can we do to get a guy like him training with Tracy? Because I know Tracy is so good that he's having trouble finding top level competition in the U.S. as well. I mean, would they be good guys to push each other? I mean, what kind of connections can they make?
No, we've had those two athletes train together on multiple occasions. Tracy's a little big for Allen.
Okay.
I mean, Tracy's a big 97 kilo, and so I mean, even if those guys were walking around at their fighting weight, 87 and 97, that's 10 kilos, between those weight classes, especially those upper weights. But Allen will push Tracy right, right up to his limit every time, but that size sure helps Hancock a little bit.
I tell
When
you
he
what, man, right now, I mean, Tracy's probably my favorite wrestler in the country to watch. I think he's just been so exciting. Those Pan Am games, he just looked crisp. Like he looked like the terminology I told people when I was watching it was like in the years before, and he looked like a boy wrestling in a man's singlet, and he just filled in, but and not just physically, he just looked crisp and sharp in his execution in those Pan Am games. But he's been like, I'm excited for the future because if like, man, if you got a guy like Tracy with his talent and skills, but where he can go to camps and tournaments where he can rotate between wrestling Kuhn on the heavy side and Vera on the light side, between the speed and the power, man, like if you're Tracy's age and his weight, and you got guys you're sandwiched between to get pushed by, he's great. He's got to be a kid in a candy store.
Well, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have Tracy go out and be a part of that heavyweight camp, and he's going to be training with Wes and Colton, and this new athlete that just came into our program. He took fourth at his first senior nationals. Um, didn't wrestle a single match in college until he finished his eligibility playing football. He was
Oh,
Tanner Farmer.
all right.
So big, huge, big athletic guy, 6'4", 300-pound athlete. Came back, took third in his first senior national, and really just started training Greco-Roman. So after he spent 4 years playing football at Nebraska, he went to Concordia College outside of Lincoln to get his master's degree. Had 1 year left of eligibility and wrestled a college season for the NAIA program. Finished second in the nationals. Only lost one match collegiately that year, and just started competing Greco. This was his first tournament, so it was fourth, not bad. No Toby Erickson, no Jacob Mitchell, no Robbie Smith at this tournament, but still, I mean the heavyweight caliber that's coming up, pretty talented. We've always been a really strong program as far as heavyweights go in the United States. I mean, when we go back, Byers and Rulon and Ghaffari, and that's just from my generation. You go back a little farther, you got Kozlowski and guys like that. But American heavyweights are great. We have really strong athletic big men in this country. A lot of them play football where the money is. But it was nice to see one of those guys that was, highly recruited wrestler coming out of high school, ended up playing football, and now he's coming back to Greco-Roman. It's really exciting.
That is cool. So, are there things happening where, like, I know this COVID thing is just a total wrench, but like, does it create differential opportunities for guys who might be like normatively in the regular NCAA model to maybe find more opportunities for matches or training? Like the senior nationals was a tournament that happened when the NCAA is not happening.
Yeah, and next month, literally 4 weeks from now, is our under 23 and our junior national championships. Since they won't be world team trials, since there's no world championships being scheduled for 2020 for those age groups, we're still going to host a national championships, and I think we're going to see some of these young guys starting to emerge out of those tournaments as well. The under 20, the under 23 guys. So yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, Peyton Robb was an athlete that we recruited very highly. Um, Came out really strong. He made it all the way back for the. How did he not? I think he lost for his bronze medal. Actually, I got to look at my things, but man, what a he lost to Pat Smith, second round, and then came all the way back. He actually lost to Ortiz for the bronze medal. But Peyton Robb is a Greco wrestler. We were hoping to get into our program either here in Colorado Springs or up in northern Michigan. But a lot of these college age guys want to do the NCAA system, and I can't blame them. I mean, that's kind of a path a lot of these guys, even Colton, who's a Greco guy full through and through. He has that goal of winning that NCAA title too. And you got to support his dreams and what he wants to do.
I mean, we did it too.
Yeah, I know.
Like I get it. But maybe some incentive a little bit now for guys to do a little bit more training in Greco, because there's a chance to compete in it when they can't in the other, and maybe a little wrinkle, to help spark a few things.
Well, it was really cool. University of Nebraska, who historically has more world and Olympic medals than any other college program, and you had guys like Rulon and myself that went there, and after
Cool.
me, it was Justin Reese and Brad Bering. But
Burrows.
well, I'm talking Greco-Roman.
Okay.
I'm,
Okay.
I'm not talking freestyle. I don't know who's got the record for freestyle, and I don't think it is Nebraska, but more world and Olympic medals in
Oh,
Greco-Roman
Greco.
wrestling.
Well, you guys probably have it for all wrestling together as like one program.
No, I would think it's Iowa, Penn State, freestyle. Come on, we'll get those stats next time. I'll have to look those up,
You guys are close to Nebraska, I bet, man.
but I know we did, and they sent 8 athletes to that tournament, so that was exciting to see 8 athletes registered in Greco-Roman.
Wow, that's great, man. I'm excited to see it. I mean, did you notice? I guess you weren't there, but when you guys do these weekly is grit calls, right?
We've done some grit calls, yeah. With the ones we're doing now with the grit calls is actually with our with our coaches cohort.
Yeah.
So national coaches from all different NGBs. So it might be like me, a wrestling coach, and a ski coach, and a women's volleyball coach, and so we get all these top national coaches, and we're meeting with Dr. Stoles about the grit program for sure.
So when you do talk with the guys, I guess I was mistaken in the grit calls, but are you noticing like attitudes of the guys on the grassroots guys, the national team guys, the world team guys? Is there a hunger that's dry? Are people getting like the bug to compete? They feel like a caged animal? Like when you see these tournaments opening up, or obviously people are going to vary, right? So you could be a little bummed out from the challenges. I mean, what's the vibe?
Oh, I think people are very excited just to get back on the mat, and this was a breath of fresh air, just to have that tournament to say, it is a net positive for USA Wrestling. It was a net positive for Greco-Roman program to say, okay, we're getting back to wrestling. And like I said, a month away, we're going to have two more age groups going,
Yeah,
and we may have a world team trials very soon if the world championships are going to proceed and take place in December. We could very easily see us having a world team trials within this year.
that'd be awesome.
um, and it's going to have to happen, in November. So things are going to happen really quick here. So
Oh, I'm
this,
excited, man. I want to see these guys, released like caged animals, man. Just excited, renewed enthusiasm, and attitudes to just go crush and train and have that excitement for the opportunities that they have of every day to practice is a gift. Every day to compete is a gift. Until they've been injured, until they've had the government or the military say you can't train, you can't wrestle, a doctor say you can't wrestle. Like you've had it with injuries, I've had it with injuries. I mean, to know what that feels like and to have that renewed vigor of like that caged animal to be released, man, at the national, like this is gonna be awesome. I
well,
can't wait to see what
sometimes you
happens.
don't appreciate things until it's been taken away from you. And especially for some of these guys that are just now getting a chance to get back on the mats, they've had something taken away, something they love and they cherish, and now they appreciate it, and hopefully you're right, they have that vigor to say, okay, I missed this and I want to get back to it, and I want to put 100% effort into doing whatever it's going to take to win that medal at the Olympics that are coming up. And that's what I'm looking forward to. So I think we're on the same page as far as that goes. So,
This is awesome. Like I'm excited. I want to see these. I saw the energy the guys go out and throw and just get after it, man. Like I'm
well, it
excited.
was a very, if I only had time to watch just the finals, I would definitely invest my time to watch the finals because they were very exciting. There were some great matches throughout the tournament. The semis were fun to watch, and even the earlier rounds and the quarters and stuff, you saw a lot. Because when you get those top seeded guys against somebody that's not seeded, you might see a lot more action, a lot of these big throws happening. Uh, a lot of times you think, in the finals, sometimes those matches are, 1-1, 0, 0-2 or something. But man, we had exciting final matches. I mean, it
And I
was,
like the interview. The guy from Northern Michigan who beat Geronaro. He's interviewing and they're like, tell me about it. He's like, I'm trying to put on a show. It sounded like Kamal Bey. He's like, I'm not trying to win a 1 point match. He's like, I want to win, but he's like, I want to put on a show. I want to throw people. I want people's feet in the air. I want like it was so awesome to see that killer instinct and the fun to just go out and crush, man. It's awesome.
yeah, Benji's a fun athlete. He enjoys the process, and I think that's really ultimately, we've talked about that before, but that's what it takes is, no matter how hard it is, you got to love, as one of my teammates used to say, love the fight, and I think he's even trademarked that. So I'm going to give him credit, Brandon Paulson, love the fight. I mean, it's a grind, it's a fight, but you got to enjoy every aspect of that. The good with the bad, it's all part of it. The hard work and the soreness and the tiredness and all that. You just got to love it and go. In the morning, you get up and you go, "Oh my God, my body hurts so much," but I got to do this again because I love it. And you just take advantage of those opportunities.
If you don't love that, it's the wrong sport or the wrong whatever in life you're doing. If like whatever you're doing is the wrong thing. If there's something not enjoyable about it, and it won't when you're up and you're in the morning and it's sore. I don't know about you, but I've had times where I'm like, you know what, I don't love this, but like if you go anyways, and after practice, then I'm like, yeah, I love this. Like then you're like, I'm glad I went. I'm glad I pushed through. Like, because you're banged up in the morning. Sometimes you might not love it so much, but when you come back after that workout, man, yeah, that's if you don't have that, then wrong business.
Yeah, because sometimes even when you're not feeling 100%, you get in that environment and you look around and everybody else is pushing themselves. You're like, I'm not going to get left behind. I'm not going to, this guy's not going to outwork me today. No matter how tired, no matter how sore I am, this guy's not going to outtrain me today. I'm going to, you get that, you find that motivation somehow, some way. You get motivated.
Yeah, well, like you said, I think the fight, particularly this sport, that fight. If you don't love the fight, I mean, that's that. I mean, hang up the shoes. But man, when you got that fight in you, man, and your body can still fight, because a lot of times the body gives out, but you've got that fight in here and in here. But man,
Yeah.
man, what a special time. Hopefully, this time has let these guys see that and embrace that and value that for the special, blessing and opportunity it is to be able to unleash and deploy the fight on the inside every day when there's practice that's allowed, every day when there's a tournament that's allowed. Because I think we took it for granted as a country, right, for a long time.